I've just been sitting here and enjoying the presence of, first of all, that interview and watching it with Joanne Lara. Joanne Lara is, I promised you she's going to take you to church because she's an amazing, you are amazing. And I always love it when you come because you have such a light and such a love for so many people. And you work harder than any 12 people I know. And
that
just for isn't it right? She's not even going to try to deny it. That's how you know that it's for sure true. So Joanne, you have so many different credentials behind your name, but let's just talk about a few of them. You're the co-founder and you are the driving force behind Autism Works Now, which we're going to talk about, and how important it is to get individuals to a job and have that job work out and give them the training and the employers the training. You created Autism Movement Therapy, which is this amazing thing, and you credential people around the world so that they can do Autism Movement Therapy, and we'll touch on that a little bit. You're on a mission right now to get as many people registered to vote in this election here in the United States as you can.
That's right.
And that includes all of our adults who are on the autism spectrum.
18 and over.
That's right. And my goodness, you've done so many things. You've worked in the school district. You're a dancer in your very own right, which is why your Autism Movement Therapy is so luscious and wonderful for our kids. And I'm leaving 35 million other things out.
National University. I'm very proud of that.
Yes.
10 years.
Yeah.
10 years with National.
Educating people, educating all
teachers,
of us.
Educating teachers.
Yes. Which is amazing too. We've been talking a little bit today about educating teachers and how important that is. So we've already touched on that a little bit. But
good.
You're also somebody who fights for the underdog.
That's
always.
Right. Always.
Always. And I'm lucky that I count you as a friend. I didn't know you until just a couple of years ago. Yeah. And I didn't even mention that for those of you, we talked about touch on the show years ago with Kiefer Sutherland. And if you were wondering why things were done so well with autism, that's Joanne, because Joanne was the consultant on that show. And you've helped so many people on this road. And I will tell you that in the autism world, there's a lot of, everybody got to have their own and get their own. And sometimes it maddens me a little bit because I go, well, what happened till we were all in this together?
Right.
And it can happen. There are people who are seeing the light, and there are people who want to work collaboratively, but I will tell you that nobody sets the bar higher than Joanne does. You are totally collaborative, and it doesn't matter, somebody needs something, you're like, all right, what are we going to do about that? How are we going to make that happen? And
I'm so humbled. Oh my gosh.
Well, amazing. I love you. I love you. And I love what you do. And I was saying the other day that, my niece, we always have this saying, a lot of people do, about, if you need to get a hold of the president, you gotta be less than 3 phone calls away. Right. And I was describing Joanne to somebody the other day, and I was like, okay, she would be my first phone call. She would be my, Joanne, because you would tell me what to do, where to go, where the life vests were. She's that kind of person. Okay?
The director.
Well,
directorial.
And willing, and the biggest heart, and people because you've been willing and know people and have talked to people and have put yourself on the line time and time again and said, oh no, that's not happening on my watch.
That's right.
And everybody respects you because of that.
Thank you.
You are very loved and respected. So if you didn't know Joanne before, now you do. Very good friend of the show. So what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to
voting?
Okay, let's take voting on.
I want to talk about how important it is for our 18 and up across the country to register and to vote. A lot of individuals and families with disabilities think because their child has a disability, well, then cross that off.
Yeah, they just ruled it out. Like that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, okay, that's part of what he can't do, you know. And now, as we know, we're really moving into what we can do. And we're emphasizing what we can do across the board. In the education system, in the service system, we're talking differently now. It's a new day.
It's about time,
It's a new day.
Yeah.
It's a real new day. But don't forget that the right to vote is exercising your right to determine what your life is going to look like after you transition out of a public school setting.
Now, there are probably some people who have questions because obviously there are some people who have conservatorship on their adult children.
Yes.
And so they're probably thinking, ooh, can my child vote? And in some cases, they may have checked a box saying that their child cannot vote.
Right. And I believe that can be turned around.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that you don't have to go anywhere in order to do that. But consult your conservator.
Because it might be different in different states.
Exactly.
And, you might need to talk to somebody about that, but it's worth looking into. There are people who have adult children that they have not done a conservatorship.
That's right.
So there's
no issue there. There's no issue.
Yeah, right. But they're probably thinking to themselves, well, don't you have to be a certain IQ? Don't you have to be a certain functionality?
Absolutely not. There absolutely is no criteria for voting. If you're 18 and you, bless you,
sneezing,
and you can register, you can vote.
Okay.
Now, you can register online at rockthevote.com. It's the easiest place to register.
Okay.
It's very easy. It just takes you right through the process. Now, it has to be 15 days before an election.
Okay.
So I want to make sure I preface that with 15 days out from an election. If it's closer to the election than 15 days, then you're not going to be able to vote. Your vote's not going to count.
But we're more than 15 days out now.
Absolutely.
So now is the moment in which to do this. So rockthevote.org.
I think it's a .com or .org.
Okay.
It's a Rock the Vote.
Okay, Rock the Vote. One way to do this. And for people who are concerned about what the requirements are, and we're saying, there isn't, I think that's enlightening to a lot of people. But I think the basis of that question is, doesn't my child have to be informed to vote?
I think yes, and I think you're right, and I think it's important. And I'm not so sure that the education system is informing our kids in a special ed setting, especially kids that are 18 to 22 that are extended, they're staying into the school system till they're 22. That means they have a moderate to severe disability. Now, we all know that doesn't always mean a cognitive disability.
Exactly.
It can be orthopedic disability, it can be cerebral palsy, any of the disabilities that are not cognitive, but what we call like the silent disability. I think that everything needs to be laid out, and this is what we're doing, and who do you want?
Exactly. And I want to stress how important that part of the conversation is that, I'm a parent, and I'm a helicopter parent.
Right.
And I'm one of those people that circles.
Right.
But every day as my child gets older, I learn about the division between what I want for him and what he wants for
himself.
And that I need to be so super respectful of that he is no longer 3. And that for all of our kids, regardless of what their adaptive skills are, regardless of whether they can tie their own shoes or not,
right,
they have the right to that.
That's right.
And that includes voting.
That's right.
And them having their opinion. I certainly think as a former educator and as a parent that we want to put things in front of them to help them to be able to have informed choices, but we don't have the right to tell them who they should vote for.
We don't have the right to say you're not smart enough to vote.
Right.
That I haven't seen that. I mean, that's not a criteria to vote.
It isn't.
And
I think people don't know.
Many people say that to me, and families say that to me. Well, will they let him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they will.
Yes.
Now, there are certain things we need to do to set them up for success in order for that to happen. Each state, it's different. Now, I think, voting is such a big deal in my family that every single time I have voted, and I have not missed a voting opportunity since my child was born or before that. I missed once because I got there and I'd moved 3 blocks and I didn't know that you had to re-register at the new place, and they denied me voting, and I about had a nervous breakdown in the voting poll. So one time I haven't been able to vote in my adult life, but every time since my child was born, I have taken him with me. We're talking, he was 3 months old.
He knows how to go to vote.
He was 3 months old, and I carried him in the thing, and I was was like, are you going to let him go in with me? And they were like, sure. He goes with me now at 13. And I once
And he
again,
watches you.
I show, in California, we have
Right.
the little pens that,
Right.
that mark, and I take it out and I show him lining up, did my pen work on each one of these things? And we talk about the hanging chads.
Yes,
right?
yes. Take those
all
off,
of that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and let me tell you that there were times when he was 5 that it went by and he
Right.
didn't know.
But he gets it now.
But he certainly gets it now.
Yeah.
And I think that it's an important thing to physically do it time and time again.
Absolutely.
And I think back to I grew up in upstate New York where they have the booths where you have to hold the
Right.
thing and you have to turn it and the curtain closes
Right,
behind
right,
you.
right.
But so often there are places where you can take anyone to go and practice voting.
Right.
They were showing today
Great
on the
point.
news about
Yes.
places that you could go and
Oh,
you
they
could
were?
see. Yes,
I
they
love
were.
that. Okay.
So I know you've got an event that's coming up in October here in California.
We do.
Talk a little bit about that because you're going to have voting booths there for people to practice. Yes, I thought that was one of the things you told me that you were going to have.
Well,
Yes.
what it is it's twofold. We're being brought in a Democratic youth event, part of the Democratic Party, and we're being brought in to help to talk about just what we're talking about: register to vote and exercise your power and freedom to vote in a country where you can vote.
Yes.
And you can determine what the outlook for your life will be through voting process. Politics drives social living, education, and employment. Do not be fooled.
Absolutely.
Politics drives what your life, our lives for our kids when they transition is going to look like.
Yes.
It's all about politics and what those laws look like and what the amendments look like and IDEA.
Yes.
It's all determined by our politicians in our states, local, federal, state. So you want to be able to exercise the right to know what your life is going to look like and feel that you have a hand in it, as we all do. That's what it means to live in a democracy. So the parade is that for the first time we're having, we have Gay Pride Parade, we have a number of different pride parades. It's the first time we have a Disability Pride Parade in Los Angeles.
Nice.
It's going to be in Downey, and it's going to be on October 9th.
Yes.
And registration starts at 10, it goes from 10 to 11, then the parade till about 12:30. And then there's going to be like a grandstand area where the mayor of Downey will be there, Spencer Hart will be performing.
We love Spencer.
Rio Wiles will be performing.
Lovely. Soul Shaka.
Shoal Shaka, exactly. A number of our Autism Works Now, Lacey Brinks, Luke Rose will be there, and I believe Chris Grayson will be there to talk. Will be again on microphone to say, hey, you need to get out and vote.
Yeah.
Now, I found out that speaking with Luke Rose and Lacey,
Yes.
and they've been on your show.
Yes.
They've been voting since they were 18. They're
Lovely.
now 20 years old. They've voted for 2 years.
Right.
Yes, I'm registered to vote. Luke called me right back. I said, Luke, I texted, are you registered to vote? Just making sure.
Yes.
Called me right back. Yes, I've been voting for 2 years.
You got to love that.
Love that. Same with Lacey.
It's so important that we talk about this with all of our kids.
Yes.
And that we don't, if you've waited and your child is 18 or over, it's like when would now be a good time,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Now.
Yeah.
But I have to say, for those of you who are watching who have kids who are younger, it's still now to
That's
have
right.
the conversation and to start them on the process. But give them the tools that are appropriate for them now.
That's
and
right.
if they're going to go into the voting booth to vote, let's give them the tools. Let's get them into a practice voting booth. I love, in our family, I make my husband do this because I'm not only a helicopter parent, I'm a helicopter spouse. We get our booklets,
Right.
that come
And
in
mark
the
them
mail.
ahead of time.
And yes, and it shows exactly what the ballot is going to look like.
right.
And it says, it details what the propositions are, and you get some time to sit with it. And a couple of weeks before the election, I sit and mark my booth, and then I say to my husband, okay, it's your turn.
Right.
Because I know, you get there and there's all the signs at the
I
polling
take mine
place.
with me.
Oh yeah, no, me too.
So I go
And-
right down.
but there's all the signs at the polling place, and then you get in and you have
Yeah.
to sign your name.
That's
and,
right.
And for me, it's a little sensory overwhelming.
Right.
And then you step into the booth, and sometimes there's a line, and and all of a sudden you're like, Prop 54, was that the one where they're doing this or
Right.
that? You can't quite remember. It's a lot of numbers, and so
Right.
if it's already, then you're just copying what's in your booklet, and you've had some time to think it through, but you've got it all in your booklet.
That's right.
So we've been demonstrating that for my son for years.
Fabulous. So you're the model. Look, it's all about models. For
Let's not
everything
say
that we
I'm
do.
a model. I'm not perfect about it,
No,
but I'm
does
saying,
it?
yeah.
No, we don't make a judgment on a model. A
Okay.
model is a model. A model, you do it, and they
Yes.
model it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so they're
Yes.
modeling what you're doing.
Yes.
Whether and that can be a good or bad thing, as we know.
Sure.
So we always want to be aware that we are the models
Yes.
for our kids,
Yeah.
and they're looking for models. They're also looking for peer models.
Yeah.
I always say it's our kids
Yes.
love to model after their peers.
Yes.
They're before an adult even.
Yes.
So we want to get our kids as close to a neurotypical peer group as we can, because those are the best models in the world.
Yes, they are.
And so you're a model for a parent that votes and exercises your right to vote in a democracy. So whether, that's a good thing.
Yes.
But like I said, we always want to be aware that we are the models, because
Yes.
when we're doing things that they're not so great, then we're still modeling.
Absolutely.
So that's an important piece to know
And I will
remember.
I will also say that we go as a family to vote. We make time so that my husband can
that's
go
great.
at the same time, and we talk about it in the car. And my husband and I have not always voted for the same person.
That's right.
And we love to have him hear that, so that he hears you get to have a difference of opinion.
There's
about
no right or
something.
wrong.
There's no right or wrong. It's your
Exactly.
opinion about it. And then the other thing, the very ABA thing that we love and that we've built into him since he was little.
If you go vote, you get
the sticker
get
that
the
says
sticker.
I voted.
Exactly.
And then we take a group family picture and we post it on
You
Facebook.
do?
We
I
do.
love that.
To show that we voted. And
Fabulous.
he's like, oh, I get the sticker and I got to take the picture again. But he
Right.
kind of loves it.
Oh.
And I always make a special dinner for election night, and then we sit and watch the
Wow,
election
you really-
returns.
oh,
I
it's
get into it.
amazing.
I get into it a little too much.
I love it. You're like Betsy Ross.
Oh, so for
I
all the
love it.
primary things, it's funny you should say that. The very first time I would ever
You
performed,
win as Betsy Ross.
No, the first time in first grade, I got to play Betsy Ross, and yes, ended up in a master's degree in theater.
I know.
It's,
You never lost the bug.
But anyway,
I love
yes, yeah. So
And also we have accommodations, and we're passing out pins at the Disability Pride Parade from the Democratic Committee
yes.
For Braille.
oh, great.
Because evidently it's a new way that we're accommodating for
Okay.
individuals who are visually impaired.
Okay.
But you talked about the voting booth that we're going to have
Yes.
there. What we're doing is we are filming the Disability Pride Parade,
Yes.
and we're filming segments of it because we're going to submit that to the Democratic National Committee with the hopes, and we're getting a lot of encouragement from the higher ups. As you know, I'm on Hillary Clinton's Disability
Yes.
Employment Task Force team, so I've been kind of meeting new people.
Yes.
And this was my idea. And they were like, we love that idea. I said, we need to get the 18 and older vote.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that we're registered and we're voting if we're
Yes.
18 and older. And how about a national commercial?
Yeah.
That's a 30 or 45 second spot.
Love
we love that idea.
Love that.
So that's where we are now. We were hoping to cut that,
Yeah.
edit that, a 30, 45 second spot of our individuals with disabilities that are going to not only talking about voting and registering to vote and voting, but are actually going into a polling booth. So we're going to have a polling booth there, and we're going to shoot that.
Yes.
With all disabilities, with individuals, because there will be individuals with all disabilities at this
Absolutely.
parade.
And I have to say, just because we're a non-party denomination show,
Right.
is that regardless of what your personal party attachment is, it is important for
To vote.
all individuals to vote and to give the ability to vote to all individuals. So love that the Democratic Party is doing this and that you're a part of that, and we so appreciate it. But if that is not your party affiliation, don't let that stop you.
No, absolutely.
In fact, let that kick you in the rear end to get you to go and register to vote, so that you.
It's about registering to vote. Exactly. It's about registering to vote. And also, I wanted to say that our Autism Works Now, because many of our kids that'll be on the stand or in talking at the Pride Parade will also are also part of our Autism Works Now program, and we're in our second year for the pilot.
Okay, so let's take a break, and then let's come back and talk about what is happening with Autism Works Now, because it's really exciting. We love you.